So you guys thought that I wouldn't be streaming. Guess you were wrong. Just because I play video games won't keep me away from my beloved audience. Especially on a Saturday. I used to take advantage of Saturdays because everyone was taking a break, but not me. I'm working hard. Working hard toward those big bucks. Right, so I got some interesting news today. The one you're probably seeing in the thumbnail is the main one. Let me just advertise this in my Discord and on the Twitter to get some people in here. And then we can talk a little bit. Which is going to probably surprise a lot of people on what I have to say, because I do have an atheist take on it. And I think as an atheist, you kind of get to see things a little bit more objective, because you don't have necessarily a horse in this race. But I am surprisingly starting to see the value of the church more and more as time goes on. I noticed that without the church, people start doing and believing in various things. Some good, some not so good. And do you know if that's really a great thing or not? Let's wait for a couple of more people to join the chat, and then we can start talking about the important things. In the meantime, like, how have you guys been doing? I see I got a brony in the chat. See, I got Jimmy Stiffingers. Jimmy, when are you going to get word of me? Like, I know you're a really old fan. I wouldn't watch myself for this long. Like, I definitely would be driven mad if I listened to my voice for so long. It's one of the reasons that I'm also getting mad. I have to listen to myself all the time. You know what's interesting though? Like, if I think about it, I see a lot of Romanians that are very angry at the church, right? Like, they watch the Young Turks, they watch a lot of progressive propaganda, if you will. And they're really livid at the church. And I ask them, like, dude, you're an Orthodox, right? It's like, why are you upset at the church? It's like, oh, my witch burnings, my crusade. It's like, when did the Orthodox Church burn any witches? Can you honestly tell me? Like, please give me an accurate... They can't. Right? It's like, oh, my Catholic Church, my pedophiles. Like, when did the Orthodox Church get involved in a pedophile scandal? They generally can't answer, right? It's like the Inquisition. When did the Orthodox Church have an Inquisition? It's like Orthodox called for the Crusades. Yeah, but I don't view the Crusades. Like, the first Crusade, I view it as a defensive war. The Ottoman Empire, the Islamic Empire was attacking the Byzantium Empire for hundreds of years, and eventually they called for help, and it united Christendom against Islam. So the first Crusades were defensive wars. Now, there are other Crusades, like the ones against the Cathars and other Crusades, which you can argue they were evil, but that's not the Orthodox Church's doing. So, you know, I'm generally like thinking, what is the evil that the Orthodox Church has done? Now, I know like a lot of bad things about it. It's a company like Apple in Romania. It has priests that are hoarding all the wealth, and they're making a lot more money than they need, and they don't give to the poor. And you see a lot of arrogant priests. The thing that most people are attacking the church is that it's a massive display of wealth where everyone in the country is poor. And that's, you know, like a legit criticism, I would say. And you see priests that are like asking money to sanctify cars, and they're asking money to sanctify weapons in Russia and that type of shit. It's like, come on. You know, like, don't do that. I also think like the church has a difficulty recently in appealing to the youth, if you will. It's really unpopular. Like, when I was a kid, the clergy, you know, like the people that were the priests, they were telling me, don't listen to heavy metal music, don't listen to Pokemon, don't watch Pokemon, don't watch Harry Potter, don't do this, don't do that, don't play video games, don't do this. And it was like, really, like, just don't, you know, like, don't do this and don't do that. So they were really unpopular. They didn't have like the way to connect to the youth, which unfortunately, you know, it gets a lot of people to turn away from the church. Joseph Diaz says humanity first, death to the robots and the Xeno. I couldn't agree more. Burn Byzantium, restore the old gods of Rome. Right, so let's look at the picture, right? So there was this picture that came in today. Let me just see if I can find it. The one that I used in the thumbnail. So we got the Pope, and he is kissing the president of Sudan's foot, and I think the country of Sudan is mostly Muslim, if I'm not mistaken, right? Now, from an atheist perspective, this looks really disgusting, and the reason it looks disgusting is because it makes the Pope look like a servant, right? Like, it makes the Pope look beyond humble, and it gives a lot of power to the president of Sudan. Now, this is a ritual, okay? So it's not something bewildering. It's like Jesus washing the feet, right? Like, Jesus is the Son of God, and he is basically like washing the feet of the believers. So, like the Son of God is lowering himself so much that he is washing the foot of another person. So it doesn't really go against like Christian doctrine, if you will. But I think you also need to understand like the politics of the world, and you need to know when to not really apply the Christian doctrine. Here's like one of the things that I find it funny, right? Like when social justice activists criticize Christianity, right? Like when they criticize Catholicism, it's like, oh, it's a violent religion. Oh, the Crusades, the witch burnings, it's an inherently violent religion, right? It's violent. And when I showed this to a couple of social justice activists, they were like, oh, well, it's normal because Christianity turned the other cheek, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, look, can you please make up your mind, right? Like, can you please pick a narrative and go with it? So the reason that I disagree with this, right? In Africa right now, like last month, there were a couple of hundreds Christians that were killed. And you would think that the Pope should talk about it nonstop. Like, the Pope really has a platform to speak, and he is the one that is, supposed to guard Christendom. Now, obviously, the Pope doesn't have any armies to send or call upon a crusade in Africa, right? But he could raise awareness. He could talk nonstop. He's got money. He's got wealth and influence. He could ask leaders of the Western world to receive some of these persecuted Christians, or, to do something about it. And it might sound ridiculous, right? Because you'd say, well, what power does the Pope have? What's really interesting is that during the Cold War, the Pope at the time managed to create a barrier against communism. Like, the Pope would talk non-stop against communism, just constantly he would talk about the evils of communism. And it makes sense because communism was threatening Christendom itself. It wasn't threatening some member, no, it was threatening Christianity as a whole. And the communist leader at the time said, who cares about the Pope? What army does he have? And you can make the argument, a lot of historians are making, that the Pope at the time managed to play a pivotal role in the fall of communism, right? Just culturally, just convincing people to resist. Because you had nations that weren't occupied by the Soviet Union yet, and the Soviet Union wouldn't declare war on them. They would subvert these nations. They would send communist infiltrators in the form of journalists, in the form of university professors, in the form of activists, in the form of mainstream media people, right? And because the Catholic Church would also use their priests in order to basically do what I'm doing, right? Like, vaccinate people against the ideology of communism, and to just, sit at the sermons and tell people like why Marxism is bad, why it's failing, and just provide arguments after argument. It was very difficult to subvert these nations because it was a war of ideas there. It wasn't a war fought with guns or anything. It was just a war of ideas. So it was very difficult for the Soviet Union to control these nations and to subvert them, because they were like, no, like the Bible says, period. I don't fucking care about your Marxism, right? So there are good aspects of Christianity. That there are good things that Christianity has done. And now what happens is, with this current Pope that you got here, it's very peculiar the way he got elected. The previous Pope did something that very few popes do. Like, popes are elected for life, okay? There is even like a ritual when the pope is dead that one of the cardinals comes there with like a wooden hammer and knocks his head 3 times to see if he's actually dead. Like, there's this whole ritual that takes place when a pope dies. But the previous pope, the one that looks like Emperor Palpatine, he decided to abdicate. Like, he stopped, being a pope while he was alive. And what's peculiar about it is that he is still in good health, right? Like, it's not that he had a debilitating condition that made it very difficult for him to be a pope. No, like, he's in perfect health. There wasn't a scandal that you could say, well, because of this controversy he abdicated. No. He just abdicated, which leads to a lot of people to assume that the only logical position is that he was blackmailed or something. Like, there's maybe the possibility that he didn't like being a pope, I suppose, but if he didn't like it, why did he apply for the job? Now, that is like one thing, that is one arm of the thing. Like, the previous pope just stepped down. All right. So, when a new pope gets elected, you have all the cardinals, the College of Cardinals, coming together, and they have to vote for a new pope. Now, this is a process that takes weeks, sometimes even more. It's a very difficult process, very time-consuming. Like, they go into this house and all of their electronics get taken away. Like, they don't have any smartphones, they don't have any laptop, no communication, no mobile phones, nothing. They enter this place and they sit there, like, trying to deliberate who's going to be the next pope. And there's this whole thing where, like, they burn the paper and, like, people from outside are watching, and if there's, like, white smoke, I believe they came to a consensus. If there's black smoke, they're still reconciling. And, like, the entire media is looking at the smoke, right? But in the case of this pope, for, I believe, like, the 3rd time in Catholic history, they went there and they decided on the new pope on the first try. It was so obviously it was a sort of coup, right? Like, the previous pope suddenly steps down, and then they elect a new pope, first try, something. Like, all of these things are very weird, that they don't really happen in Catholic faith. Now, the new pope that came is like someone that very few people heard about. Like, he wasn't in the news. He's like, just this random guy comes up, and he is the most progressive motherfucker that I have ever seen in my life, right? Like, he's got the exact same issues on progressive stances like the progressive ideology. He's got progressive views on environmentalism. He's got progressive views on immigration. He's got progressive views on literally everything. He even, I believe, said that atheists can go to heaven. Like, it went to that point. So, a lot of people are raising questions. A lot of people don't like it. And especially because even though, he says a lot of shit, it's also a problem because he's doing a lot of reforms in the church, so he's doing a lot of damage to the traditions and to the way that the church is supposed to operate. And on top of that, you don't have that beacon that people had during the Cold War, where you had, like, the current pope talking against it, like the ideological conflict. And there should be an ideological conflict. It's good even for the progressives. Like, you shouldn't just have an echo chamber and do whatever you want unchallenged. Like, there should be some force in society that always talks against your ideology. It's not good for society if they have a dominant ideology, no matter what that is. Even if it was like libertarian ideology, I would still think, there should be another ideology besides libertarian that constantly talks against it, that tries to, put some brakes. But it is what it is. So, in this case, I do find it appalling. The reason I find it appalling is that he shouldn't have done the ritual, in my opinion, right? He should have met this leader standing up as equals, right? Like, if you're trying, because that's the whole thing. I believe, like, the current pope, if I'm not mistaken, he's trying to unite the faiths and something like that. Okay, if you want to unite the faiths, you should come as equal, because you will never see a Muslim leader do this. Never, ever, ever. So I disagree. I really disagree with this decision. Um, a lot of people say that he is a disgrace. I mean, yeah, as a person, like again, like a lot of Catholics don't view that as a disgrace. They view it like, you know, part of the religion, like turn the other cheek and stuff. But I disagree. You know, I think you should try to meet the other leader standing up. You know, as an equal, not as a superior, not as someone that's inferior, just equal footing. But anyway, right, was something that happened. Now let's talk about something else which also happened. And this news is actually a little bit controversial, like both sides are wrong. You know, usually I take a side, but in this one, no. So, right, the first image of a black hole. Apparently this is a big thing. Generally don't give a fuck, but what really angers me is that there's a lot of people that don't care about science and anything like that, and they're treating like it's the best shit ever. And a lot of people are saying, oh yeah, you should respect this achievement. Do you remember like when someone managed to land a comet? Sorry, they managed to land a shuttle on a comet, and what the mainstream media did is to pick on the guy's shirt, right? Because it's sexist and ostracizing, and that was like they harassed that guy on his moment of discovery, and now the same mainstream media is like, oh no, you shouldn't harass a scientist. Like, who gives a fuck? Like, I generally do not care, but anyway, right? So apparently there's this picture with this lady who was the lead project, and it's a very cute, adorable picture. I will give you that. But a lot of people on Reddit, I believe for this time it happened on Reddit, were pointing out that this gentleman wrote 850,000 lines of code, and the media doesn't talk about him. Instead, the media talks about this lady, right? So I will tell you something. Even if it wasn't about feminism, even if it wasn't about gender wars and stuff like that, if you put this guy on your paper, you put the screen of this guy, it's not going to give you as many clicks as if you put the screen of this kawaii lady, right? Like, this is going to make people click your shit. This is not going to make people click your shit. So at the end of the day, it's about ad revenue, it's about clicks. You know, a lot of journalists are just going to want to make money, so they're going to have this picture. Now let's analyze the controversy, right? Now, this guy didn't really write 850,000 lines of the code. A lot of the things were copy-pasted, right? Like, a lot of the things he took. So he actually said this himself on Twitter. He admits that he didn't write this many lines. But secondly, what's important to point out is understanding how this works. The lady came up with the idea for the algorithm, and she is the project leader. Okay, so she came up with the idea for the algorithm, and then this guy wrote the code. So yeah, they're a team. Like, obviously, every single person in the team is important, right? But in the science world, the person who comes up with the idea is the one that takes most of the credit. So this is not something new. This is not something weird. Like, if I come up with an idea, my name is going to be the first one that's being placed on the book. Even if I have a team of 100 people that are the most qualified in their fields and they're all working together, right? Obviously, this lady alone couldn't have done this. And obviously, this guy needs a lot of credit, but she is the team leader, right? So if she's the team leader, she is going to get most of the credit. So no, this is not some sort of conspiracy. Now, the mainstream media is hyping it up, right? Like, they're like, oh my God, women, vagina. It's like, yeah, okay, whatever. If you want to really talk about something that is upsetting, so to speak, like if you really want to talk about something that is indeed controversial, is that while the Americans are masturbating over the fact that they have a picture of a black hole, you have Israel sending the first private expedition to the moon. And I think that's a fucking accomplishment. You know, that should be talked about. Like, the fact that now private companies are able to try to attempt space exploration is a really huge thing. And India and China are now leading the space race. Right? Meanwhile, NASA is masturbating about diversity and inclusion. They're constantly talking about it. And what are they doing? Right? They stop space exploring. They're not even... Like, the only thing they're doing now is they're probably going to build the wheel or the toilet for the next China space exploration. You know, they're not going to put the man on Mars anymore. They're probably going to design the toilet for the rocket that sends the man to Mars. So, yeah, I mean, you know, at the end of the day, I don't think like space exploration is going to be in the near future. But it was like a thing of prestige for the Americans. It was like a cultural achievement because you managed to send the man on the moon. And I don't think like they're going to manage to do that again. I don't think that they're going to manage to keep exploring the space because, well, there you go. So now you have like NASA taking pictures of black holes while the Jews are actually managing to send a private expedition to the moon. Which failed, by the way. It crashed. But even though it crashed, it's still a major achievement, right? Like you have a private company doing it, which is to be commendable. Like there's going to be a lot of data from that in order to make sure that the next trips don't crash. Apparently, Trump gave them a few more billions and told them to go to work. Well, we'll see. We'll see if that's going to happen. In the US, women are 76% of the teachers, 90% in elementary school. Dude, have you worked with kids? You know, that's my question. Have you tried? It is very difficult. I'll tell you that. I don't think, like I as a man just choose not to go there. I don't have the aptitude to do that. But anyway. Let's look at something else that I found, and this is a little bit interesting. I found it in a Sargon of Akkad's video. Right, was watching this video before the stream, but it's actually really important. Ignore the old man here. Ignore the future EU MP. Vote for Sargon 2020 for a brighter tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. So this is a graph that went a lot on Twitter. I forgot to save it, so now I find it in a Sargon of Akkad's video. I like the fact that he keeps showing his Twitter. It's like, please ban me. To be honest, if he gets voted as an EU MP, he's going to not only get his Twitter back, his main account, he's going to get a blue checkmark to it as well. It's going to be glorious. But anyway. The story is that men have unrealistic standards for women, right? And this is like the reason we censor comic books. This is the reason Mortal Kombat censored the boobie. This is the reason why we can't have fun. Right? In order to teach men to respect women and not to have unrealistic beauty standards. And you have like fat acceptance and fat superheroes and all that shit. Right? And then you have like the data from OkCupid. And to be honest, it sounds really weird for old people because when I was a teenager, if you wanted a dating app, back then they didn't exist, right? Like you had the internet, which had Netscape Navigator and IRC and that type of thing, but you couldn't really find like a dating website. So if you wanted to have like a proper dating website, you would go to the newspapers. And in the newspapers, you had like these things, matrimonial or something like that, you know, like this matchmaking thing. A lot of newspapers had it. And it was considered very vulgar to do that. Like it was considered an act of desperation to search for people. And you would go there and it would be like, you know, woman, 40 years old, looking for a generous man, blah, 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 blah. Here's my phone number. So you'd have to like, you know, phone her and stuff. It was very awkward, very... But nowadays, dating websites seem to be the way of the future. It seems to be how people are actually hooking up. In a way, I find it very damaging, relationship-wise, because back in the day, meeting a girl was really difficult. You would have to like meet her at a party, which weren't that often. You would have to ask a friend of a friend. You know, do you know a girl that's single? It was quite a hassle to meet a girl, right? So when you finally got one, you would appreciate it. And for women, it was the same. Like, it was very difficult meeting a guy. especially when you reach a certain age and everyone is married, everyone is hooked up, it becomes more and more difficult, right? So if you're in a relationship and you had whatever problems in your relationship, most of the time you would try to work it out. You would try to fix it rather than just end the relationship and then go on Tinder again and go next. I guess like because of the convenience on how easy it is, how social media has turned relationships into a product. Like you really become a product when you go on one of these dating sites. You are the merchandise, and women are the buyer. It kind of damaged relationships, I think. I think it did a lot more harm than good. But, the life is what it is, so we have to find ways in order to work with it. And yeah, like, it's becoming really weird, I understand, from teenagers and other people, to go out and just pick up chicks in a bar. It's becoming weird now, man. Like, you're not supposed to do that. It's the same like going to someone's house unannounced. Like before it was something quite common, like you would hear someone at the door and it's like, oh, who is it? And it's like, oh, I was in the neighborhood and decided to stop by. But nowadays, because everyone has mobile phones, it's actually really weird to go to someone's house if you don't call them first. I remember back in the day when I was a kid, you had other kids like throwing pebbles at the window, in order for you to go and see who it is, and they would ask you, hey, want to come out and play or something like that. I don't think that will happen anymore. But according to this graph, women think that 80% of men are beyond average. Okay? So you have to take into account two things, right? Number one, it's obviously the people who go on OkCupid, right? So maybe, I don't know, like most men that go on OkCupid are very desperate. Most men are maybe ugly. So that would be like one way to look at it. But then why are men rating women appropriately? Right? Like you have men that actually do rate women based on their looks in good while. So my point was that you see feminism and social justice are constantly hammering men that they have unrealistic standards for women. But in reality, when you look at OkCupid, it seems that women have unrealistic standards for men. You're never going to hear this in a discussion in the mainstream media. It's never going to be discussed. So I just decided to talk about it before other people. Another thing is, and by the way, like the reason this is being discussed is, as you can see here, I covered this. I made a video about it. I think it got demonetized as well. But the Mary Sue, a feminist rag, is actually mocking the fact that more men are not having sex. Like they find this funny, they find this hilarious, and it's nothing but malice. Like I genuinely looked at the new news cycle with that lady, what's her name, that famous actress, right? Which demands a boyfriend because she is kind of old, she's a millionaire, she adopted some kids, and now she's having problem dating, so she demands a boyfriend. So it's kind of disappointing. Like I'm looking at that and I don't laugh at her, I don't mock her. I feel sad. It is sad. Like she focused so much on her career and she neglected the family aspect, and now she's unhappy. So I'm looking at that and it's like, oh yeah, with this menacing, evil, intent, it's like, ha, serves you right. Yeah, I'm not laughing in Schadenfreude. The thing with men and women, the way I view things, is that women have a lot of social power when they're teenagers. Like when a woman is like 16 all the way to 24, they have a lot of social power in a lot of circles, right? Like they're the ones calling the shots. But after that, as they start growing up and they start aging and they don't become really beautiful, men are managing to advance in their careers, they're making money, they're becoming wealthy, they have a lot of money to spend, and they have a lot to offer. And men become the ones that are actually becoming the pillar stone, in social circles and communities. Like a man that managed to get his shit together by 30, yeah, he can date a lot of young attractive girls because he's got, all of his shit together. He's stable emotionally. He knows how to deal with other people in society. He's got money. He's got income. He's got a brand new car. And like the roles shift. It switches, right? Like women are going to be the ones that are going to have less relationships, and men are just the ones that become in power. Sargon already said this. He probably stole it from me from Discord. God fucking... Anyway. Moving forward. It angers me. Alright, let me tell you something that Sargon didn't say. Guy Verhofstadt. Let's create a single Euro-African economic area. It would have an enormous potential that remains untapped. 1.5 billion consumers, 20 trillion in value, able to rival with China. And now there's news about getting African nations into the Schengen area, meaning that everyone from Africa can just travel to Europe. There's not going to be anything required other than their ID card. And I love how these people think, right? Like they just look at the paper. There's a lot of percentages. There's a lot of money to be made. It's a good deal. Like if you're a car manufacturing company, right? There's two things you need to understand if you want to make a profit. Number one, there is a finite number to how many cars you can sell. Like if I create, let's say, 1 million cars this month, chances are I'm not going to sell them. So I'm going to end up having a lot of cars in stock. So I'm not going to make like there is a bottleneck to the profit that I can make, which is how many people require cars. And that's a finite number. So if I can just sell them now to other countries, if I can export my cars, if I can make sure that, African people buy my cars, then that bottleneck increases and I'm able to sell more shit. Another thing that stops a car company from making more profit is how many other car companies are there, the competition. Because if there's competition on the market, then people can buy cars from the competition and I'll end up not selling. So from the corporation perspective, they want two things. They want more buyers and they want less producers. So if the EU goes into Africa, they're going to make sure that their industry is shite and that, the only industry that they have is going to be owned by the Germans and the French. So you're going to have German car manufacturers in Africa. You're going to have French businesses in Africa. And the Africans are going to be held as this type of population that is just a consumer. They're not supposed to produce anything. They're not going to supposed to be able to create. They're just the ones that are going to consume, right? So it's a little bit disgusting, I would say. And it's also going to devastate the working class in Europe because now the car manufacturing in Germany, right? Let's say a German requires 2,000 euros in order to work at your company. But then you have an African coming over and he's more than willing to work for 1,000 euros. Now, the car company hires cheaper labor and the car company sells cheaper cars. And now, more Africans can buy the cars because they're cheaper and the middle class in Germany benefits because they get cheaper iPhones. But the people that are going to be suffering are the lower class within Germany, the working class that, tough shit. They're now going to be forced to be more competitive. So the corporation doesn't want competition. They want to eliminate all competition because they understand it's going to be difficult for them. But instead, the competition is going to be suffered by the German person who's now going to have to compete with a bigger and more open market. And we're not even talking about the cultural differences. At this point, I generally believe that eventually, I think everyone in Western Europe is just going to have to convert to Islam. I generally do not see the way around it. Every time there is a controversy, Islam wins time and time again. At this point, there's going to come a place where people will just stop fighting. It's fine, I'll convert if you just shut the fuck up. I'm sorry to black pill people. I genuinely am sorry to see the way it is. But I'm looking at the Pope, honestly, who is actually ideologically opposed to Islam? Who is, going up on television and having the arguments against Islam? I remember like against Christianity, right? That there were actresses, there were people in the mainstream media, and there were like a lot of people that just came on and they were shitting on Christianity nonstop. And that's how Christianity lost power. That's how they managed to restrict their influence. But no one is talking bad against Islam. I mean, for the love of God, Richard Dawkins, right? Like Richard Dawkins, an atheist, which is for open borders. He's against Brexit, right? Like he's the most progressive individual. He was deplatformed because he had views against Islam. An atheist having views against it. Can you imagine? Shocking. So unless something changes, unless we're going to see a radical change, no, I genuinely do not think that there's going to be a thing. Like Islam is an ideology, okay? Like people are going to be pressured into believing it, and you're going to have Eastern Europe that's going to remain Christian. Garen Gettinger, wow, thank you for $20. I really appreciate it. Didn't really have a lot of donations today. In fact, I got videos demonetized for some reason. Yeah, I mean, one way you could do it, I guess, is to make your own Western version of Islam. And that would be like a way to stave it off. But someone in the chat said that Islam is an excellent method of social control. I agree with that. Like all religions, that's what religion is for. It is for social control. It provides a moral compass to the public. And when you have a leader that comes up and says something like utterly ridiculous, then the people, right, who are part of that faith, they're going to say no. Like you have someone, for example, coming up and talks about pre-birth abortions, right, like late-term abortions. You're going to have the Christians stepping in and saying, "What the fuck are you doing? We're not going to vote for you unless you change." Like look how many Christians, like how many white evangelicals voted for Donald Trump. Why do you think that was? Because they were abhorred by Obama. They were abhorred by what the Democrats were doing. So yeah, like religion is a way to have social control. Yeah, I mean the thing with the Catholics is also the mass pedophile scandals, right? Like that weakened them a lot. A lot of people were turned away from Catholicism, and it's not the fact that they had pedophiles, which is the thing. It's because they were hiding them, right? Like they knew, okay, this priest is boogering little kids, so instead of like sending him to the police, instead of allowing the authorities to apprehend him, they would just take him from one place and moving into another church when he would booger kids again. So, like that's really fucked up. And what the Pope does, instead of addressing the issue seriously, well, and by seriously I mean a way that is acceptable for everyone in society, not just Christians, is like, oh, the devil made these kids do it. The devil made these priests do it. And it's like, oh, come on. Like he just started praying a little bit and that's it, instead of running like a very thorough internal investigation and collaborating with the authorities and promising the authorities that they're going to have like this task force that's going to be completely transparent and allow them to have like full access of whatever documents they need and stuff like that. That would have been a lot better than their thoughts and prayers, but So yeah, we got the Star Wars community. Let's talk about something a little bit more happy. I left this comment and I upset a lot of people. Like I know exactly what to say in order to piss them off. This is from IGN. Now it's shilling for Star Wars. My God, like I don't understand why people read IGN. It's just like the mouthpiece of the corporations at this point. Like they don't care about what people think at all. They don't care about the fans at all. They only care about, what movie comes next and how can we make sponsored content based on it. So you have Ryan Johnson saying, "I love everything about this and I just melted back into being a happy kid. If you need me, I'll be spending the rest of the day smiling dreamily." This is Ryan Johnson, who said that we need to bury the past. And apparently the next Star Wars is going to have Palpatine. It's called The Rise of the Skywalker. I guess like Rey is probably going to be related with Skywalker. They're retconning her heritage, and Yeah, they're bringing back Palpatine. So, like, we buried the past a little bit. Seems it kind of drove us into bankruptcy. So we're unburying the past again. Like, what? I don't get, like, these people. Why did they pick up an IP, right? Why did they pick something that's already popular and then decide to let's bury what made it popular? Let's bury the past and move forward. Like, why not just create some new shit? Just create new shit and no one is going to complain. But yeah, this is what drives Hollywood right now, is nostalgia. They genuinely cannot create new things. Like, look at Disney. What does it do? Now it went to its previous cartoons that were really great, like Lion King and Beauty and the Beast and all of these things. And what they do is they just make animated movies based on them. And that's like, my God, just make something new, make something great, for fuck's sake. Now the new Lion King is out. And Aladdin. But anyway, so I said that the Star Wars community is the most toxic there is. Every time I come with criticism about The Last Jedi, I am told that I am a man baby. And it's not just me. I see a constant trend where anyone who dares criticize it is attacked by the rabid Star Wars fans. I am not going to keep supporting an industry that is run by such horrible people. And I also tagged Ethan Van Sciver and I said that I blame him for purchasing Rose Tico action figures and supporting this industry built on hate and division. You need to start acting like the SJWs to beat them. Like, I'm going to fight fire with fire. In some cases, not all, right? But in some cases, it is socially acceptable to do so. I am going to consider the social justice activists that keep praising Star Wars to be the real fans, because that's what they want to say. They keep saying they're the real fans. You know what? I believe you. And I'm just going to attack them. I'm going to say you guys are some of the most hateful, divisive, bigoted that can't accept any sort of criticism, and you're driving away new people. And it's true, I'm not even lying. I genuinely am not even lying. I feel like nothing puts me off more from these movies and these entertainment than talking with the fans on the forum. If you go on a forum and you have any sort of criticism about Captain Marvel, about Star Wars, about, female Ghostbusters, they will attack you. They will latch onto you and they will attack you like vicious animals. And because of that, it's like, you know what? You're right. You can keep these IPs. You have them. You have them. I'm just going to step back. You guys are too hateful. You're inciting a lot of hatred. I don't want to have anything to do with you. And it pisses them off so much. It upsets them like there's no tomorrow. Thank you, Runaway Susie. I don't understand. Why is Runaway Susie a guy? Why do they have a male avatar with a female name? How does that work? Huh? How does that work? Oof, someone piss in V's cornflakes. Oof, someone speaks too much on the forums that you have started mastering their language, haven't you? Let's see what else we got. Man, since I'm the incel whisperer today. Another thing, it's like, why this hatred towards incels? Where did it start? It's like, okay, it's guys who couldn't get laid, like guys who couldn't manage to find a woman. Like, I don't understand, like, why hate someone like that? It's like, the actress that came up and she demands to have a boyfriend. Like, why would I hate her? Like, why would I hate women who can't find boyfriends? It's just stereotyping. Oh, because one incel did something, we now stereotype the entire incel community, are we? Wow, that's very progressive. Wow. Such cultural enrichment. Honestly, you're going to see that the people who manage to defeat the SJWs culturally, the people who are going to ship the culture, they're going to use their tactics. They're going to say, oh, so you're stereotyping. Why are you stereotyping? It's not okay. The same arguments that the SJWs used against the conservatives are going to be the same ones that are used against them. Because now the SJWs have went so far to the authoritarian side that they are even worse than the people they fought. Female judge faces official probe for spotting serial drink driver jail because she's a woman, despite her smashing into 3 cars and plunging into a ditch. Right, so Judge Sarah Buckingham is facing the probe over comments she made while sentencing the dangerous driver Victoria Perry. A spokesman, that's sexist, you can't say it's a spokesperson, For the independent judicial conduct, investigated office said the CEO confirms it has received complaints in connection with remarks attributed to Jay Buckingham today. Complaints are considered under regulation. So what the fuck did she say, right? So apparently the accused admitted of having, Jesus fucking Christ, 102? 102? That's like, okay, 100 milliliters of breath of alcohol. Fuck me. Almost 3 times the legal limit. She admitted dangerous driving and her sentence was deferred. So the judge says, if Miss Patty was a man, there is no question it would have been straight down the stairs because this is a shocking case of dangerous driving against background of 2 previous convictions of excess of alcohol. So she was appointed. So basically, she's actually admitting, it's like, look, if you were a man, I'd send you to jail. Now, a lot of judges do that because if you look into the statistics, and this is like something that the feminists constantly use as a trophy. It's like, look how many men go to jail versus how many women. Yeah, but look how many judges don't send women to jail because they're women. The 54-year-old was called in the bar, becoming blah, blah, blah. So the judge also let the Nottingham bus driver off with a 3-year community order after he admitted child pornography offenses. Craig Wedge, 26, had been caught with a video of a girl's rape on his mobile, but the judge said he would have to address your offending in a way you may find uncomfortable. The judge jailed the father for 3 years for beating his daughter, saying he was a controlling misogynist who ruled through fear. Well, it's better to rule through kindness, isn't it? Just let the drunk driver, away because she has vagina. That's the way you rule. She said to the 50-year-old man, you don't like women very much, and that a very traditional person who clearly thinks women should do what you want them to do, even your little girl. Yeah. Well, I guess you're a more progressive person that lets women go. You know what I noticed about progressive people? Like, this is something that I just had the revelation on. They don't really create new values, right? Like, they constantly talk about fighting gender discrimination and, overthrowing the patriarchy and stuff. But really what they do is they take previous values that they claim to fight about and switch them. They put them upside down, and then they sell that upside down value to the public as if it's something new. Like, literally on everything, right? The previous patriarchy, it believes in strength. The social justice activist believes in weakness. Okay, like the previous ideology believed that strength is a virtue, and they believe weakness is a virtue. In the case of this judge, right, like she doesn't like men that oppress women, so she flips it around and allows women to walk free even though they commit criminal offenses. And meanwhile, they're being very harsh on men and punishing men more harsh than they should. It's almost like, the upside down cross. It's like some of the Satanists that were trying to, fight against Christianity, I guess, they didn't make new values. They took the ones that the Christians had and put them upside down. And then they sell it to the people, it's something new. I'm not going to take the hunk pill, okay? There's still hope. There's still hope. There's hope, not hatred. I don't take the hunk pill. Say no to the hunk pill, ladies and gentlemen. There's also another one. I'm starting to understand why these people do these things, honestly. Like the NUS president said that she wanted to oppress white people and have an Islamic takeover. Here's what annoys me. Like, you have these people saying this batshit crazy shit. And when I have to talk against them, anything I say is going to consider that I am an Islamophobe and that I am a white supremacist. Because I don't think that white people should be oppressed, right? The incoming president of the National Union of Students has said that she wanted to oppress white people and have an Islamic takeover. Zamzam Ibrahim Also described the government's counter-extremism strategy as disastrous and racist. Yeah, I mean, it stops terrorists, so obviously it's disastrous and racist. Using the hashtag if I was president, she wrote on the Twitter in 2012, I'd oppress white people just to give them a taste of what they put us through. Yeah, that would... I mean, like, I don't really understand the logic. It's like, okay, you know, Romania was oppressed by the Ottoman Empire. Do you think that if you were to oppress the Ottoman Empire now, it would lead to more or less conflict? She signed off the message by writing, laughing my fucking ass off, which in urban slang is... Okay. Responding to questions online about what book everyone should read, she said the Quran. We would love an Islamic takeover. In another question, yeah, but see, that's the thing. I think reading the Quran makes you move away from Islam. Like, I read the Bible, it moved me away from Christianity. I don't think you planned that out, sweetie. In another question about friendship between men and women, she wrote, I've had this debate with many friends, maybe in some cases, but Islamically it's incorrect for girls to be friends with a guy anyway. So I'm going to say no, not the kind of friendship they can have with the same gender. There is always boundaries. See, I agree with this lady. It's like, I don't think men and women can be friends. I do think there's always like one person that is going to get upset. This is the guy that I beat today at Street Fighter, and he's complaining about me mashing. Dude, I kicked your fucking ass. What the fuck do you care if I'm mashing or not? Mrs. Ibrahim was elected as NUS president at their annual conference this week. Said that her remarks should not be taken out of context, and they were from a time when she was struggling with her view of the world. Right? Okay. You know, I always love it when a leftist get caught for opinion necromancy. It's always like, oh yeah, we need understanding. It was a different time, blah blah blah. But when a right winger gets caught, sorry, not even get caught, not even a right winger, a non-leftist gets caught. For example, that race driver, right? Who his dad, like not even him, his dad before he was born said the N-word on a radio show. And because of that, the guy lost his sponsorship. Eh? Just the double fucking standard. She went on, I was grappling with the deep injustice I could see around me and trying to figure out how I could make the world a better place. Yeah, I don't care. I was young, impressionable, and a racist, I guess. I'm just using, like, this is what annoys me, right? Like, the left wants you to believe in their rubbish, right? Like their ideology. And okay, you know what? Fine, I believe. I'm a convert. I believe everything you say. I believe we should punish people for opinion necromancy. And the moment you point out the left, it's like, whoa. I need to start talking about stuff Sargon already hasn't covered. He didn't cover this. I haven't seen him cover this. Jesus fuck, right? Do I need to start looking at his channel again? I stopped watching his videos, but alright, now I'm pretty sure he hasn't covered this. Look. Disney chairman and CEO Bob Iger has said Hitler would have loved social media during a ceremony in which he is being honored with a humanitarian award. Oh my fucking god. Yeah, Disney CEO getting the humanitarian award. Multi-billion corporations. Yeah, okay. You know what? Disney... I don't know if Hitler would have loved social media or not. I think he would have censored the living shit out of it. I think social media wouldn't even exist if Hitler was around. The internet would have been massively regulated, and when social media would finally start existing, it would probably have a Chinese point-based system, you know, and the government would definitely own it. And I'm basing this on the fact on how the Nazis threatened the free press, right? Like how publications existed in Nazi Germany. You needed a permit from the state to run your newspaper, and if you wrote anything that's inconveniencing, then well, they would take your permit away. But you know, so I don't know what Hitler liked or not about social media, but what I do know is that Hitler loved Disney. He loved the living shit out of Disney. Do you know that he actually used to color and draw Disney characters? Isn't that a thing? These are drawn by Hitler, by the way, if I'm not mistaken. The director of the War Museum in northern Norway said he found the drawings hidden in a painting signed Adolf Hitler that he brought on an action in Germany. Okay, so these aren't drawings by him. These are the ones that he bought, I guess. He found colored cartoons of the characters Bashful and Doc from the 1947 Disney film Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which were signed Adolf Hitler, and an unsigned sketch of Pinocchio as he appeared in the 1940 Disney film. Hitler tried making a living as an artist before his rise to power. While there was no independent confirmation yesterday that the drawings were the work of the Nazi leader, Hitler is known to have owned a copy of Snow White, the classic animated adaptation of a German fairy tale, and to have viewed it in his own private cinema. Mr. Hakavag, who said he had performed tests on the paintings which suggested that they dated from 1940, said, "I am 100% sure that these drawings are by Hitler. If one wanted to make a forgery, one would never hide it in the back of a picture where it might never be discovered. The initials on the sketches and the signature on the painting match other copies of Hitler's handwriting," he claimed. Hitler had a copy of Snow White, he said. He thought this was one of the best movies ever made. So, Disney, shut the fuck up. Mind your own fucking business. I don't fucking care what you think as a brand, okay? Check your own history before you start talking. Just pointing it out. And not to mention, I remember, Disney backing out from a deal with PewDiePie because PewDiePie dressed as a Nazi, and it's like, well, you can't have Nazis. PewDiePie was making fun of Nazis, and you know what? How many Disney cartoons exist where they depict Hitler in it, and they're making fun of him? So, again, Disney, shut the fuck up. Mind your own fucking business. I genuinely oh, by the way, they're censoring those cartoons. The thing that disgusts me with Disney is that they're trying to erase history. It's like, yeah, censor all the fucking cartoons you want, Disney, but they're still on YouTube. They're still on the internet. People can still see them. Just Google Disney censored cartoons. And then look at who the fuck is lecturing you and is moralizing you about how to be a good, decent human being. Fucking hell. I'm upset. Why am I upset, chat? Huh? Why am I... look at this news. Okay, this is something else that Sargon hasn't covered. I understand I need to watch Sargon. Okay, make sure that I get every single video that he makes, and that I don't repeat myself. Is this only a video? So this is actually something sad in my opinion. I don't know how to look at this without feeling a little bit disappointed and a little bit of the gloomy, but Afghanistan's one and only Jew. Interesting. So why do you think there aren't many Jews in Afghanistan? Okay, a country with tens of millions of people and only one Jew. Now, I know what you're saying. There used to be two of them. If I'm not mistaken, one died. So now the entire nation has one Jewish person in it. Afghanistan last Jew explained why he stays there. He has faced a lot of pressure and threats to convert to Islam, but has refused. Afghanistan used to have a Jewish community, but they've all left. Sadness. Well, just wanted to show it. Yeah. He's the token Jew. Yeah, I genuinely think that's why they kept them. It's well, we're not anti-Semitic or anything. Look, we got a Jew. There is, maybe when there were two, they could have said there's a lot of Jewish people that live in Afghanistan. But now they're going to say, well, no, there is a Jewish person living in Afghanistan. Nothing bad happens to him. He's there. I guess he is the Chad Jew. This should be a movie, The Last Jew. In Afghanistan. I guess, a lot of people are pointing out to Disney doing the okay gesture and how the okay gesture is problematic, but oof, I don't know what to say. I think Blizzard is trying to indoctrinate me. I think Blizzard is trying to push me to white nationalism, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to write an email of complaint. This is just unacceptable. Yeah, I think it's fucked up. I don't think it's okay. I think Blizzard should. I mean, I know they spent a lot of money designing this, and they spent a lot of. But I think if they really want to take a step in the right direction and be a progressive company that fights white nationalism, they definitely need to not only delete the skin, but give a refund to every person that purchased it. You know, seeing a person that does the OK sign in a convention and telling them that if they do it again, they will be thrown out. Yeah, you know, that's good, you know, but I want I want to see them that they're willing to put money where their mouth is. I want to see that they're actually, you know, genuinely against the culture of white nationalism and not just giving lip service in order for progressive people to go away. I see a lot of companies doing this, you know. I see a lot of companies, like, for example, Amazon, you know, they overwork their workers, they underpay their employers, they give them workloads that they can never fulfill. You have cases with workers that are pissing in a bucket and they're not even eating while on the job. People who are fainting, you know, suicide nets being employed so that people don't kill themselves at their companies. Just dreadful, you know, absolute dreadful. But hey, they go like, no, we're really progressive. Look, we have a transgender bathroom. Fuck off, leave us alone. You know, I don't think Blizzard is that type of company. I don't think Blizzard just, you know, gives lip service to progressive values in order to avoid criticism from the fans. And I generally think they're going to take this absolutely disgusting skin, which is a symbol co-opted by white nationalists, you know, and they're going to give a refund to anyone that purchased it. I think it's the right thing to do. The jester for £2. I'm not going to take the hunk pill. Okay, I am definitely. I draw a line at blatant white nationalism. Yeah, the suicide nets are in China. Well, of course, you know, you have all these corporations, these American corporations. They go and they set you know, set their businesses in China because you can just get people there very cheaply. Work them as hard as you can and no one is going to complain. And then you get to talk about what a progressive guy you are and what a huge champ you are to the West. And it's like, oh, look, we got like free transgender bathrooms. Oh, we're so progressive. Oh, we recognize the pronouns zir and hir. We're the best. You know, just leave us alone. Just turn a blind eye to all of the human misery that we're causing. I will probably need a transgender bathroom one day. My voice is becoming more and more squeaky by the minute. Russia's migrant numbers hit records low, 2018. Wow, who'd have thought? 27 reasons you should date a HIV positive individual. Wow, brilliant. All right. So how old is this? When was this written? Okay, this was written in the past, so take into account it's not a new article or anything like this. This is from the LGBTQA. Okay, so if it's LGBTQA, I think it's 2017 or so, because now it's LGBTQA2AAIS, I believe. If you're wondering what 2SAA. If you're wondering what 2S stands for, it's twin spirited. Let me actually look what the fuck. Yeah, there's this very progressive show, American Gods. Man, I love season 1, but season 2 is so much filled with regressive horseshit. It's so difficult for me to enjoy the show. They even have like a twin spirited they have a twin spirited woman there. It's like, well, yeah, so it's LGBTQQIAAP. Gotcha. I need to get educated. Every now and then you have to review this because it keeps growing. At one point it's just going to have all the letters of the fucking alphabet. I'll just call it LGBTQLMNOP from now on. Where is that? Now, AIDS is quite common in the LGBT community because of the way AIDS is transmitted. I'm telling you this as a medical doctor, right? It's not about being gay, it's about having butt sex. So even straight people, if they would have butt sex all the time, they would get AIDS a lot more often. The way you get AIDS, like if you have, it's blah. Blood has a lot more of the virus than the sexual fluids. The sexual fluids also have the virus, but it's in smaller amounts, so your immune system can usually handle it. but the blood has concentrated numbers of the virus. So because of this, when you have vaginal sex, usually the pussy can take a pounding, pardon the French. But when you have anal sex, there's a lot of tearing. There's these micro tears, and there can be like small drippets of blood that carry the virus, and this is why the homosexual community is a lot more at risk. The lesbian community probably has very low chance of getting the virus, but the homosexual and the straight people that have bot sex, okay, they would also be included in a high risk situation. So, all right, we have the Californian law that didn't decriminalize it, but called it in a misdemeanor. Like, this is something really funny. I don't know if you guys watch my channel, but I pointed out how in California, there was a law that talked about turning, like willingly giving someone AIDS into a misdemeanor. So we're not talking about the person who has AIDS and transmits it. No, like someone who knows they have AIDS, doesn't disclose it, and transmits it, right? So we're talking about those people. Now it's a misdemeanor. And what's funny is that obviously after this law, the AIDS epidemic just boom, exploded in California. So the next year I see this article, white supremacy is responsible for the AIDS epidemic. And I was like, like kind of makes sense. I mean, the progressives are white supremacists with a guilty conscience. Last month, the global medical and scientific community at the forefront of HIV research care came together in Paris for the 9th International AIDS Association, where they announced unequivocally that an undetectable HIV viral load means HIV is untransmittable. So this encourages people, I guess, to like if your partner has it undetectable, then it's untransmittable. All right? No. Here's how it works. Yes, it is true, right? If the virus is undetectable, then it is untransmittable. But the AIDS virus, the reason we don't have a cure for it is because it mutates quite rapidly, usually in the same person, right? And because of the mutations, overnight, the virus can just become resistant to the treatment. And you go to the doctor, undetectable, overnight mutation happens, 2-3 days down the road, boom, it's detectable. Boom, you're having sex, boom, it's transmitted, right? So you should inform people about these things. Why be disingenuous? Like, yeah, sure, if you want to have sex with a person that has HIV, it's your right to do so. If you really love that person and whatever, I think the person should inform, like, yeah, I have HIV. It's like, okay, I understand. But we're talking about, like trying to lie to people, like give them all the information. It's their health at the end of the day. I mean, if the left constantly talks about consent, don't I need to know all the information in order to be able to consent? Like if I want to buy a house and you're hiding shit about it from me, like for example, the ground floor is rotten and there's other things which will cause the house to like it's built on a hill that's going to collapse. If you're not telling me this and I consent to the purchase of the house, I can later sue you when I find this out, because it's considered that I wouldn't have given my consent had I know about these things. One more thing for the folks in the back. If you diligently take your medicine and keep your viral load to below detectable levels, you will not be dangerous to your partner. We now have the scientific data. Okay, I addressed this. It's not fake science, it's not bullshit. As one guy told me on a first date 2 years ago, there wasn't a second date. This landmark development in the response to HIV, many people are not hearing this message. Okay, right, we still same thing. You repeated this 3 times, you aren't as convincing as you said the first time. You have nothing to fear. Okay, so you're repeating this 4 times in a row now. What's the issue? Why are we all hearing it? Why are guys still sero-sorting, choosing sex partners based on HIV status? Well, because is their health at the risk? Like genuinely, I don't understand. Like on one way, I do feel for the people who are HIV positive. No, generally, I do feel like I can't imagine how it is to have such a disease, Or for example, hepatitis, another example, right? It's not AIDS, it's hepatitis. A lot of people in Romania have it because of the underground doctor mafia, which I spoke at length about. And it's quite fucked up, like you're not going to have like a healthy romantic life from that point on. But just like if I were to have like a contagious disease that kills people, I would quarantine myself. It's like, I understand it, but like, if I know how bad it is for me, why would I want to give it to other people? Now, if someone else consents and someone else is fine with it, or someone else also has the disease, that's okay, like whatever. Because the message isn't out loud enough, that and people have been taught by the right-wing scaremongering. Oh, I see, it's right-wing scaremongering. Fuck me, everything is right-wing scaremongering, isn't it? So it's like, okay, I don't want to get AIDS. Oh, it's right-wing scaremongering. All right. And the public politics of AIDS, that HIV is something to fear and alleged breakthrough should be distrusted. There's an alarming population of people who distrust medicine thanks to social cultural factors, many gay men among them. Well, yeah, because they're, as I discussed, they're the highest risk. Medicine isn't perfect and big pharma is real, but all the relying organizational research and billions of dollars poured into a virus that hit us suddenly and brutally has accomplished something extraordinary. We are on the cusp of an AIDS-free world. No, you're not. No, you're not. The reason we can't find the cure for AIDS is because of the rapid mutations of the virus, right? I already said that. Now, the reason we also want to stop AIDS by any means necessary, like to limit the number, is because of the mutations. Like, the more people are infected, the more mutations there are, the higher the chance that in one of these people you're going to have such a deadly strain of AIDS that is going to cause the next Black Plague, for example. Like, imagine if the AIDS would mutate and for some reason it would manage to transmit through other vectors. Now, I don't know if that's actually possible. I would have to check it out. But what's definitely possible, you can have like an AIDS that is completely immune to any type of treatment. And also the resources required, right? So in America, for example, I don't know how expensive the treatment is, but I know it's very expensive. I don't know if there are healthcare companies that are using subsidies for it, but not all people can afford it, and maybe they can afford it now because there isn't that much of a percentage of the population with the illness. But if you would have like an explosion of people that are having this and you'd have like a massive catastrophe on your hands, then there won't be enough treatment in order to treat people. Like, the resources for creating the treatment are limited. That's why it's expensive. Fucking hell. One of the reasons why it's expensive. It's not. Learn the U=U campaign. Share it. Here's some more information on the campaign. If we're taking our meds diligently, we're not a threat to you. That's true regardless of condom use. If you're undetectable, you're unable to transmit it. That's true regardless if we come in your ass or in your mouth. Why should you date an HIV positive guy? Because we can teach you all this stuff, and as an added bonus, you get to fuck up. I genuinely don't understand, right? So it's not about understanding, people who go through this. It's not about offering support. No, it's about promoting. It's like, look, it's a great idea to date them. We're not out to hurt anyone. Yeah, I guess the people infected with HIV aren't. But the people who are writing this shit definitely are. Pause guys on medication are some of the safest sex partners you can have. I would like to see the research done on this. Like, are you telling me that a partner that has HIV medication is safer than a partner that doesn't have any disease? Not to mention, just because you have HIV doesn't mean you can't have hepatitis. So there may... We're getting frequent tests. It's about our health regimen. I do blood work every 3 months. When I do a full range of tests. Yeah, but again, like, you're stereotyping. You're saying that just because you do it, everyone does it. We're usually more sexually adventurous. Yeah, I think that's why you got AIDS, isn't it? Fuck me. HIV teaches you the necessity of solid communication. Okay, so if I want a good listener, I need to take it. Past guys can do anything you can do. Like, this was never disagreed. Like, yeah, no one is saying that HIV people aren't able to perform like other people. Like, for example, Freddie Mercury was HIV positive. Like, We're as good at sex as everyone else is good at sex. Plus, guys are not automatic risk takers, but if we do take risks, following our zero convention, we're aware of them. While HIV positive people are among the most vulnerable in our community, we're not trouble. Yeah, okay, all right, just enough. Honestly, what I think about the AIDS community is that the people are genuinely, good natured people, but your activists definitely have AIDS. Like your activists are cancer. Um, Susan Anderson, it's a new sobriety test, LGBTQXZ. Yeah, AIDS people can sleep with other AIDS guys. In fact, there's like a lot of communities in, especially in California now, where you have like a lot of positive people. There's even like this really disgusting fetish. I usually don't kink shame, but in this case, I do consider it a health risk. You have the bug chaser fetish where people who don't have AIDS want to get AIDS from someone and they're like looking for positive people in order to give them AIDS. Again, like the more people have AIDS, the more difficult it is to find the treatment for it. But yeah, people in the chat know the bug chase. So I'm looking at my stream, right, and I'm noticing I'm doing bad. Like I get the feedback. I used to have 500 people watching, and then it dropped to 300, and now I barely managed to get to 250 people. So I guess I'm being really boring. I definitely need to find a co-host. So I hear you guys. I hear you. I'll find a good co-host in order to talk with me, and hopefully I'll make the streaming a little bit more entertaining. Maybe I'll get like questions from the chat, stuff like that. Get questions from the audience. Get some people from Discord that wanna come up. Sargon is stealing my audience. Oh, is the cheeky fuck streaming right now? Let me check. If he's stealing my audience, my God, I will. How dare he? No, he's not. He's not stealing my audience. Why are you trying to plan division, chat? Why are you planning to sue Discord? Huh? Telling me Sargon is streaming when he's not. Yeah, so I will definitely like work on it. I do have a Discord, right? So I'll take auditions, I guess. No, I will not be streaming on DLive. I'm not sure it's not a scam, but even if it's not a scam, I don't like the fact that their community standards are the exact same as YouTube, and they also banned Alex Jones. So I generally don't understand like what is the advantage of me streaming on DLive, and I don't want lemons either. Like I understand what is it? The PayPal, right? If you give them bad currency, they can just terminate your account. And unfortunately, I do need PayPal to run a business. So, what do I pay for my co-host, dude? Look at me, right? I made how much I made this day? Like I made $25. Okay, $25 in super chat, which is something that I really appreciate. It's how much I want to make per day. Like I'm not a greedy motherfucker. If I make $25, I'm happy. But you have to take into account, YouTube takes a third of it, right? Like 20% goes to YouTube, and then the Romanian government takes 50% of that. How much do you think I can afford to pay a co-host? Like, how much do you suggest I should pay them? Like, if someone wants to do this free, then yeah, that's fine. I'm not going to do a Tonka saw and tell people it's like, yeah, I'm going to have you as a co-host, and you're going to get money, and then just give them the middle finger. No. Dump PayPal, use Zelle. Faster, cheaper, easier. Also, thank you, Sequoia. Why don't I become a Twitch thought? I lack the titties. Oh yeah, there was this Twitch thought. My God, let's analyze her. This article. Wow, holy shit. Let's look through it. So I got Instagram star is filmed sobbing over the prospect of a 9-to-5 job and insists she isn't cut out for work. after her account boasting 100,000 followers was deleted for being spam. Now, I read this and I was like, wow, $100,000, like that's, okay, this is the lady, by the way. $100,000, I was like, holy shit, that's, sorry, 100,000 subscribers. It's like, that's not a lot, that's how much I have. But apparently on Instagram, it is a lot. And it's incredibly wealthy to have this many. So let's hear this lady, what she's got to complain. Ugh. I hope the music isn't going to demonetize. Come on! Okay.
Guys,
can you guys hear it? Let me know chat if it's working, and then we're going to. Did you guys hear it? All right. So people are telling me that I should get ad block. No, I'm not a hypocrite, right? Like I make money out of ads, so I'm not going to get ad block. But people are saying that her face is average, right? There's two things. Like number one, okay, her body is really great. Like you can't complain. Like the boobs are great, and she's not, any sort of foul or whatever. Yeah, I guess, you could complain. She's not a 10 out of 10. Okay, I'll give you that. But here's the thing. A lot of guys, I noticed this. It's bizarre, right? They go to Instagram on these girls that look average, and I guess it's because they think they would have a chance with them. You're not going to have a chance with it. They want your money, all right? Like, if you want to pay money for women, go to a prostitute. At least get something for it. I'm not for going to prostitutes, but I don't even pay money for this shit. And if you want to pay money for this shit, just go out in the real world, find a hooker, and solve your issues. Jesus. I genuinely do not understand the men who give money to these ladies. But then again, I don't understand men who give money to my channel, so who am I to fucking complain? All I can do is just sit in appreciation and be like, okay, thank you. Which is why I want to see if I can empathize with her, right? Because I got a similar job as her. I got a similar profession to her. Let's see if I can sympathize.
And my Instagram account got deleted. And I'm trying to get it back. I'm calling everybody I can. And I don't know why it's not working out for me. I'm in LA because of this. I'm in LA because I want to be on Instagram, and I randomly just recorded this to put this in the video.
I'll be honest with you, being a YouTuber is the best job in the entire world. Like, someone says it's not a real job. I agree, it's not a real job. It's the best job. Alright? Like, you can wake up at every hour you want. You can, just make your own time. You don't have to even do hard work. Unless you're like a YouTuber that does animations or stuff like that. It's not a difficult job. It is. I feel incredibly lucky to have a community like you guys who managed to lift me up and be able to do this, right? And it's also like you get to feel really nice because you're entertaining people. Like, there's a lot of people who give me kind messages. And there's people that I manage to help at work or when they're working out. I feel humbled, by the fact that not only am I able to do something that very few people can, and also something that is so rewarding in the fact that people tell you, congratulations. And it's something that you're doing for fun, like you're having fun doing it, and you're able to have an income for it. Now, there are a lot of downsides. A lot of stress. The stress comes from the fact that every day you wake up, you wonder if your channel is still there. That can be very stressful. You don't have like job security like you get in other places. So I kind of understand. You wake up one day, your Instagram is deleted, and like she has the easiest job ever. She just goes somewhere and goes click, click, takes a few pictures, click, click, and that's it, right? So she now has that taken away from her. And yeah, I can relate with the fact that you're really distraught and distressed. But come on, like, look at her. Like, all she has to do is to start a Twitch account. You start a Twitch account and you're going to probably make more than you do on Instagram. I don't understand, like, why the drama.
I'm nothing without my following.
See, I can't say that I don't respect that. Like she is being bluntly honest here. You know, very few thoughts have this level of self-aware. Like I do appreciate it. Like how can I hold any grudge when she says something like this?
Without my following. Without my following. And when people try to hate on me and report me, I'm literally trying to be a better person. I want to say to everybody that's been reporting me, think twice because you're ruining my life. Because I make all of my money online. All of it. And I don't want to lose that. And I know people like to see me be down and be like them and be like the 90%ers, the people that work 9 to 5. That is not me.
That's fucking good, okay. So I had sympathy for her, but now she lost me, okay? She's literally saying she is better than you, alright? Like, she's not like the 90% of the people. By the way, it's not 90%, lady, it's 99, okay? I had the job at McDonald's. I worked at a hospital, alright? Like, I know how it is like, okay? Like, the difference in having this job, like working online and working from 9 to 5 is staggering. It's just astonishing. I am grateful every day that I am able to have this, but I would never be so disparaging, like, oh, I can never be like you. No, I have plans, you know, like if I ever get banned from YouTube and I try something else and it doesn't work, I'll go back to the hospital, you know, like, you need to plan for the future. You need to be able to think ahead when you're doing this, because as I mentioned, job security doesn't exist, sweetheart. You know, I definitely expect that every day my shit will get deleted just like that, you know? And after it gets deleted, that's it, c'est fini, the over, you know? You're not going to be able to do this again. So I have plans, you know, if I were an Instagram lady with 100,000 followers, like she makes so much money. According to this article, she moved to LA. That's how much money she made, okay? Like, if you have that much money, you need to put it in a bank. Like, you need to start saving, and you need to start saving a lot, you know? Consider starting your own business. Consider starting a coffee shop or some shit like that. Like, I want to start a cat cafe, you know, after I hoard a lot of wealth. You need to have, like, some perspective outside of YouTube. You know, okay, you don't want to work 9 to 5. You know, the next best thing, start your own company. That's the next best thing. You know, you don't have a boss. You don't have someone looming over you. It's not as great as being a YouTuber or being a Twitch thought or an entertainer or something like that. I agree. But it's the nice thing. You know, you're your own boss. You get to set the pace. You get to invest into something, see it grow. It's different than going and working from 9 to 5. You probably will work more than from 9 to 5 if you have your own business. You're probably going to work from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. You know, but it's different because it's your shit. Like, you're growing your little business. You're growing your little venture. You look at it with pride and, you know, with admiration. And I don't understand, like, okay, you're a woman. Why can't you do that? You know, what's stopping you from having, like, your little coffee shop or your little burrito stand or something like that?
In LA to not be like that. I worked so hard to get to where I'm at. And for that to get taken from me is the worst feeling in the world. It literally sucks having people want to come
She's basically saying that it sucks
no.
to be like you. You know, she's basically saying that you working from 9 to 5 is shit. Like, I don't think this lady experienced hardship, because when you experience hardship, you can relate. You know, I can definitely relate with people who work from 9 to 5, which is why I'm trying to do my best in order to entertain you and make you chuckle, because I know you have a hard day at work. You're coming home, and from all the entertainers you can watch, okay, from all the twats on YouTube you can watch, you chose to listen to me. And I was like, well, that's really, you know, it's inspiring, I have to say. It's the reward of this work, because otherwise there would be no reward.
Reason it hurts, and I don't think people understand that. Like, this is my
I think this lady's monetizing drama at this point. Don't get me wrong, like I get it how it is to have your thing taken away, but as I mentioned, like, she's got Twitch. I know she's streaming. She's got a YouTube channel. Like, she is just doing this in order to get people to pay her and give her more money for sympathy. It's like, think about it, you know, like, women and drama, they go so well together. They're inseparable, right? The moment a woman manages to monetize drama, holy fucking shit. Holy shit.
I am nothing. I was a prostitute, for God's sake. I was a prostitute. I stripped every single day. I don't even do that shit anymore.
You know
because
what's interesting? Like, I keep hearing these ladies saying, oh, I used to be a prostitute, you should feel for me. Well, look, I'm a man, okay? I don't have prostitution as an option. Seriously, like, I know it's funny, but if I were to, like, lose all of my jobs and be unemployed, I would be on the streets. I would be on the streets, you know, getting all the diseases from there. I think it's like the worst thing ever that can happen to a person, to become homeless. You know, to be on the streets and genuinely, like, have no prospect for the future. You know, like, honestly, like, at least she's got that way out. You know, at least she can, and she doesn't even have to prostitute. Just go on Chaturbate or on some shit. You can still make money. I, as a man, don't have that option.
Money online. Money online. I don't want to go back to that life. I don't want to go back to that life. From the bottom of my heart, it sucks. And the people that are laughing at this, wanting me to get my account deleted. Imagine if you were in my shoes. I was abandoned from my family. I've been
okay. I would definitely take that challenge. I would definitely want to be in your shoes. Yeah, you know what? Give me this body. I will take it. I will take it the next day. Boom! Done. Sold deal. Holy shit, like all the banks would want to hire me. Like all I have to do is to go to a university, take like some finances shit, and then like every single bank would hire. You know, a PR person, you know, Admiral Gender Studies, be my guest. Like everyone is going to just want to have you in their company. Not to mention, like, I would just start an online thing. Okay, you got banned from Instagram, all right? You know, YouTube channel, boom. Gaming channel on Twitch. There's so many opportunities. And the fact, like, oh, she's got backstabbed. Man, I get backstabbed every fucking day. What the fuck is she talking about? Even now, there's probably people in the chat backstabbing me as we speak. Let's see. You know, look. I'm getting backstabbed right now. My own chat, my own people, my flesh and blood, the people that I work for. They're the one backstabbing me. Jesus. You know what? I should recruit her as a co-host, shouldn't I? Like, that's definitely what I should pay her, right? But I don't think I can pay her as much as she wants. I can't afford paying her as much money as she makes on Instagram, that's for sure.
I know. Except for maybe two people. 3 people in my life. 3 people in my life is not backstab me.
Okay, that's 3 more people than you have in my life. Okay, everyone in my life backstabbed me. I can't think of a single person that hasn't backstabbed me at least once.
Like, try to be in my shoes for once because I guarantee you. Try to be in my shoes for once because I guarantee you.
Yeah, I will take the challenge. Awesome challenge accepted. Give me your shoes. Just email them to me. I will take those shoes and I would walk with them like there's no tomorrow. I hope they don't have high heels because I'm going to break my neck. I remember when I was 5, I used my mom's high heels. They were stiletto. I wanted to see if I can actually walk. No, I was this close to breaking my leg. This close.
And I just got back from San Fran and drove 7 hours to try to get a verification just for my account to be deleted. Stop reporting me, bro. Stop reporting me, bro. What some of you guys have to realize is I have no skills.
Again, like the brutal honesty just hits you. Like, this is why I can't hate her. I generally have respect for her. Like, how can I not? You know, this level of honesty you don't really find that often.
$1,000 in debt from school. $1,000 in debt from school, from college. So I can't even go to college if I...
Hold on. Something's not adding up. Okay, so you were into prostitution before, so you are making some sort of money. And you're in debt with college? What? Like, you are an Instagram thought. You made money. Why are you in debt with college? Something doesn't add up. I smell something fishy. You know, maybe there is a way for her to explain it, but I would rather have her elaborate on this.
I used to work at McDonald's before I did YouTube, Instagram, before I had 100,000 followers, before I had everything in my...
Oh wow, yikes. How do I unpack this? She used to work at McDonald's. I used to work at McDonald's. Everyone sucked the clown's dick. You know, I used to work at the Colonel at the KFC. I was the one doing the fries. You know how bad I was? Like, every time I would dip the fries, people were scared that I might set fire to the joint. Was an actual problem, was a hurdle. But you know what? I dipped the fries so many fucking times that eventually I was dipping them so good that I wasn't even next to the machine. I would just look at the fries and they would dip themselves. That's how you get skills. You know, you just go into a job and you do that shit over and over until you fucking do it. And I would do it with pride. I was actually happy. I think I was one of the very few that was happy to work at a KFC. Because I was like, and you know why I was happy? Because I was a man. I had the dick. Do you know how difficult it is to find a job and to be employed as a man? Like, I remember back then, I would have to get the papers, right? The papers. And every single job offering was a job to become a porn star, right? Like, if you want to go into the video chat industry, that was literally it. Ads after ads after ads. And then you had, like, the waitresses, and they were specifying, like, we only want women waitresses. Like, it was so difficult to land a job. Almost next to impossible. If you are a man. And honestly, like, at the time, I was so desperate for money, I would even consider video chatting. I'm so glad I wasn't a girl, because I was probably going to do it. But it's like, it was hard, like, I genuinely went through days without food. So, yeah, the fact that you were dismissing, it's like, oh, I work a job at McDonald's. Like, bitch, shut up. You were lucky to have a job at McDonald's?
My life, I was a loser. My life, I was a
loser. Okay, so basically what she's saying is that all of you guys are losers. I don't understand how people give her money. Like, oh my fucking... Oh, never mind. I know two reasons why people give her. Never mind. Okay.
At McDonald's. Not saying there's anything at McDonald's. Not saying there's anything wrong with people.
I know how she backpedaled because she probably realized what she just did.
But I don't want to go back to that life. I'm perfectly happy where I'm at.
Obviously, everyone is perfectly happy having this job. Jesus. And honestly, she's having it easier than me. Like, no, seriously, she has a better job than I do. Like, I actually have to find articles every day. I actually have to think what I say so I don't break the community guidelines. I actually need to edit the videos and do all these things. It takes, around 8 hours, to be honest, because it's like 3 videos per day now. And it's not the talking in the camera and all of that, it's the editing. That's the one that takes the most. All she has to do, unlike me, she has to go around town and take pictures of herself. That's it. That's literally it. Like, she just goes on her daily routine and click. But yeah, of course you're happy doing that. Who the fuck wouldn't be happy doing that? Go to the rural area, to a farmer that's breaking his back in the scorching heat. And it's like, wouldn't you want to make thousands of dollars just by taking photos of yourself? And not to be like the rest of the losers that work 80%, like the rest of the 90% losers that work so many hours a day. Like, just, oh my fucking God. I really want to take her deal with walking in her shoes. But she has to walk in mine. And I got into it, like, just the downstep. Like, my job is still one of the best. Okay? Like, hands down. Like, you can't deny it, right? But if she were to be a YouTuber and I would be an Instagram thought, she would still complain. Because it's too much work and she has to do this. And she doesn't have time to go out and see her friends.
I have no job qualifications. I could never work a normal job. I'm worthless.
Every time I get angry on her, I stop getting angry because I realize, okay, she's just blatantly honest here. So I just... And not to mention, like, why not improve yourself?
0.
Honestly, okay, I got 2 university degrees, and I'm thinking about getting a 3rd. I know it sounds ridiculous. I told my parents and they were like, are you fucking insane? It's like, look, I'm not doing anything. Might as fucking well, do something to improve my channel. I maybe get a history degree and then go online and make a history channel or some shit. Like, I'm constantly trying to find ways to improve myself because I don't know, like, maybe I can keep my YouTube channel for 5 years and then I'll forget everything about medicine. Like, if you don't study, you forget. And not to mention, like, things advance, like, things change. There's new treatments and new procedures, and they do things differently. Or maybe they just won't have a place to hire me. Maybe all of the slots are taken. It's so well to have, like, another opportunity, like, another thing. And it's like, okay, maybe I'll study some history. And that way I can have, like, some history things on my channel, and I'm not going to get bored just by sitting at home all day and shit like that. gonna get to meet new people. Well, how bad is it? It's just like, okay, I'm going to stay home and read some shit and then go to the teacher and tell him what I read. Yeah, like you need to constantly just find ways to improve yourself. We're not living in an economy where you can just have one job and that's going to be it until you're old and wrinkly. It's just the reality of things.
I bring nothing to the table. I bring nothing to the table when it comes to that. I always get in fights with people. I always get kicked out of places. I'm not work material.
Honestly, she's complaining about she's being treated as a guy for some reason. Everyone got kicked out from things. Do you know how hard it is to integrate when you go to a job and you do it for the first time? Very few people, unless you're charismatic as fuck, you're not going to get the things that you're supposed to do properly the first time, and a lot of people are going to give you shit for it. When I went into the med lab, no one had the time to teach me. Like, no one had the time to spend and handhold me or some shit like that. You had to learn watching other people do it, and other people expected you to do it properly the first time. And if you didn't do it properly, they would give you shit because they didn't have time for your lazy ass or your inexperienced ass or whatever. Maybe the first or two times you do it, it was like, okay, they would give you a pass. But like, if you fuck it up the third time, they would start giving you a lot of sass and a lot of shit. Jesus. And I was spraying shit on Petri dishes, and like, I had to spray it properly, right, to see the salmonella in there. Because if I didn't spread it properly, the doctor would come up and they would be livid at me. And of course they would be livid because that was a patient, right? He could get misdiagnosed if I wasn't spreading it properly. And then when looking at the microscope to find parasites and stuff, like if I would have missed it, or if I didn't do the proper procedure in order to get the what's the English word for the shit, the glass thing you put under the microscope, in Romania it's lamella, but whatever, like if I wouldn't do that properly, yeah, the doctor would be livid and I would not hear the end of it, because it was like some patient's life I was fucking with, so yeah, this girl is just like, I can't relate. I'm sorry, I can't.
I will never be work material. I will never be work material.
Yeah, I guess that's the attitude to go in with. I will never be able to do it. You know what else she can do? Like, here's another opportunity that I don't have. Right? If you look like this, you can just marry a rich fuck, and you can say, oh wow, how can you say that? Marry for money? No, marry a guy that you like and he's also rich. I can't do it. I can't marry a rich girl and just have her carry for me and just, support me and give me everything that I want while I stay home and do nothing. No, I can't, But she has that opportunity. It's just, my God. I got a little upset now. Got a little under the collar. Oh, it's called the slide, yeah. Petri dish. I should marry Sarah. Do you think Sarah would entertain my ass if I lost my YouTube gig and I'll be like, you know what, Sarah, I'm not good for anything. I don't wanna go to work. I just wanna stay home and I'm not work material. Like, everyone kicks me from every place, and like, do you honestly think there is a woman in the world that would just, yeah, you know what, that's fine, I'll go to work and I'll just support both of us. If we have a kid, we're just rely on my wage. Oh my fucking God. Yeah, because we forgot the word slide. Because in Romanian it's not slide, it's lamella. And I didn't know the translation. I'm really bad at medical English. But yeah. Should I live stream when I do a Petri dish? Or a slide? It's not difficult to do, to be honest. But if you miss the steps, that you can't see shit in the microscope. Well, actually, you do see only shit in the microscope then. I guess you can do it again, but after a while, like, the doctor gets really angry. I could become Steve Shives, can't I? Well, yeah, but even Steve Shives is producing. Like, he's got a YouTube channel. He's producing. Anyway. Right. No, I didn't keep mold spores. Why would I keep mold spores? I did do PCR with viruses, polymerized chain reaction, splice the virus DNA and stuff. That was cool. Splice the viruses. But anyway. I could turn out to be an excellent house husband, eh? But I don't think I would feel good about myself to know that I'm not doing anything. Like, I should. I would be bored, you know? It would be horrible. The Gump Emperor of Meme Kind, why don't you get Nick Fuentes to talk about the Catholic question? I'm not going to get Nick Fuentes, I'm going to get someone else. I think Max Colby wanted to come on, or maybe the Distributist, you know, someone like that. I would definitely love having them. To Gun Tommy, just do the live stream on your main channel. I don't want to flood people with my stuff. Like, the main channel is for videos. If I have like a very special guest, like Iban Tahwidi or maybe Tony Robinson or someone like that, yeah, it would be on my main channel. But I'm not going to do these live streams there because it's going to annoy a lot of people, which is why I started this channel. Therefore, 20, I don't know what I would do without you. You're from the bottom of my heart, I think like he donates every stream I do. Unfortunately, I was just about to end it, so. Yeah, and thank you to Guy Tommy as well and everyone else who donated. Don't forget, I have a Discord now. You can see me there. I should do Life is Strange. I'll probably start from the beginning, episode 1 all the way to 3. Episode 2 was really boring. My God. Apparently 3 is out. Maybe I'll do that. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I'm going to upload the video on my main channel now about my Discord video. And we'll see there. I'm not going to finish Resident Evil 2 until I upgrade my computer, and that will take a huge while. Like, I need to finish buying furniture, then I need to finish buying appliances, and maybe then I'll consider about upgrading my PC. Right now, when I play Resident Evil 2, it was very sluggish, and the graphics card was dying. Like, it made those sounds like old yeller before having to be put down. And I don't want to risk breaking my PC because it's the way I make money. I will end up like that thought, just crying to people. It's like, I don't want to go for a job. Damn, I hope I'm never being placed in that position, but, you know. Anyway, see you guys later, and have fun.